It all comes down to this as fans are pushing for Omar to sign a former Super Bowl champion. The stakes have never been higher heading into this weekend in Baltimore. Find out why Cameron Hayward was quoted saying, "This is the game." We're going to dive into the Steelers' path to winning the AFC North, as well as a player that Omar could bring in for the Steelers that is a former Super Bowl champion and could really help them down the stretch. That is what we're going to cover on today's episode of Steelers Digest. First and foremost, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Most of you are not subscribed to the channel yet, and I don't know what you're waiting for the latest Steelers news and content. Subscribe to Steelers Digest. My name is Remington Kuhn, and let's jump right in to the first task at hand. What's at stake on Saturday in Baltimore as the Steelers take on the Ravens? Everybody knows already that the stakes have never been higher, but the path to winning the AFC North has never been easier. You beat the Baltimore Ravens and you're in. You lose to the Baltimore Ravens, well, then it gets a little bit more difficult. So let's dive into the possibilities as they stand heading into Saturday. There are two paths to winning the AFC North for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first and most simple path is obviously beating the Baltimore Ravens on Saturday. If they do not, they would still win the AFC North if they manage to win out in their last two games against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals in weeks 17 and 18. There's a typo on that graphic. It is the 17 and 18 week matchups between the Chiefs and the Bengals for the Steelers. And if you look at the chances of winning the division, 72.4% is the chance that the Steelers have to win the division over Baltimore because of the fact that they have two paths to it. If they do not beat Baltimore this Saturday, Baltimore definitely has the easier path with easier matchups left to come this season in those 17th and 18th weeks. Pittsburgh does have the tiebreaker based on conference record, sitting at 7-2 against the AFC because two of their losses were to the Cowboys and the Eagles, the NFC East rivals. The AFC North race has these odds heading into Saturday. The Ravens are given a plus 125 chance to win the division, but a minus 275 chance to win this game on Saturday. The game is in Baltimore, and the Steelers are a touchdown underdog. That brings me to my next topic today, and that is embracing the underdog mentality. The Steelers have been here before. They have been underdogs before, especially against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll look at their track record against Baltimore here in a moment, but just so people understand, the public has always been high on the Ravens. For as long as I can remember, they love the Baltimore Ravens, those dumb purple birds. Well, let me tell you something. The Steelers are every bit as good of a team as the Ravens, if not better, especially this season, and they are not getting nearly enough credit for how well they have played Baltimore in the past. If you look at the Super Bowl percentages, Baltimore is given an 11% chance of winning the Super Bowl. The Steelers sitting at a measly 3%. That makes no sense because the Steelers have a better record and they have beat Baltimore head-to-head. Why is everybody on Baltimore? To be honest, I couldn't really tell you. But I can tell you that if the Steelers embrace this underdog mentality and put that chip on their shoulder, play with that chip on their shoulder, and play with their hearts on their sleeves like Mike Tomlin tells them to do, game in and game out, they have a very good chance of beating Baltimore on their home turf and winning the AFC North to force the odds makers to shoot that percentage up for the Pittsburgh Steelers and down for the overrated Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers have won 8 of the last 9 meetings with the Ravens, and every single one of those 9 games have been by 1 score. Now, all of you diehard Steelers fans already know that stat, and we already understand that we've had a lot of success, a wide range of success against the Baltimore Ravens, but the odds makers do not care. They're still favoring Baltimore to win the game this weekend, and they're favoring Baltimore over Pittsburgh to win the Super Bowl, as they do every year. Now, before this season, obviously, they had their reasons for choosing the Ravens over the Steelers, but this year, I don't understand it. They lost to the Raiders. They've had some much worse losses than the Steelers, and I just don't understand why everybody is so high on the Ravens this particular season. They control their own destiny to winning that AFC North. They can take it from the Ravens. They are in the driver's seat of this car. Everybody's acting like they're in the passenger seat with no control, but the Steelers do control their own destiny. They control their own path. The playoffs will become a much easier mountain to climb if they have home field advantage and a higher seed where they don't have to play a team like the Buffalo Bills in the first round, which is what prevented them from winning a playoff game the last time. Lastly, Odell Beckham Jr., please. This is the last topic for the video today because it is the most insane thing that we have covered so far on Steelers Digest. I really do believe that Odell Beckham Jr. could be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I never thought I would say that. But here we are looking at OBJ as a possible Steelers wide receiver. That would be something to witness. And the Steelers are being pressed to sign Odell Beckham Jr. I don't understand where this all came from, but I'm loving every minute of these rumors because OBJ would be a perfect fit for the Steelers. Steelers pressed to sign Odell Beckham Jr. One former executive is pushing the Steelers to sign the Super Bowl champion. I'm not opposed to this idea. Obviously, the wide receiver room has been lacking a little bit of talent and depth. I still love our wide receiver room, but Odell Beckham Jr. could bring something different to the table for the Steelers. A guy that's been plagued by injuries in recent years, but he's still a very good football player. And even if we can get a shell of Odell Beckham Jr., he would serve well on this offense with Russell Wilson, and he would help out George Pickens, especially helping fill in for George Pickens in the next few weeks before he can make his emphatic return for the Steelers. This would be huge if they can get Odell Beckham Jr. in there and get him used to this offense during the last few weeks of the regular season so that come playoff time, he could be a reliable receiver. Mike Williams hasn't really done a whole lot in this situation so far, and I don't know how much more time he has to prove himself. If Odell Beckham Jr. is signed by Omar Khan, you best believe he's going to go right into that lineup and play. Former Steelers executive sees value in team adding Odell Beckham Jr., and I would tend to agree with that to bring that confidence to the Steelers wide receiver room. A guy that can just go in there and not necessarily have to play every snap to make an impact on the game. Trading Deontay Johnson away and now the Ravens having him, they don't even use Deontay Johnson. Odell Beckham Jr. would actually have a place on the Steelers, so I don't buy these Ravens rumors because the Ravens are one of the teams that could be interested in Odell Beckham Jr. as it's been reported. He's already had a stint there. Wear the black and gold. The city would love Odell Beckham Jr. We'll take all the help we can get. I mean, this guy's not in a position to ask for a ton of money. He's a free agent. He got released by the Dolphins. He had all of his peak years with the New York Giants. We understand that. After Odell Beckham Jr. left the Giants, he wasn't anything crazy. Obviously, we know the stories about Cleveland and then everything that he's tried to do since. It hasn't really worked out for him. But with the Rams, what we saw in the playoffs before he got injured in that Super Bowl, he was one of the best players, if not the best player on the field in that Super Bowl. So if we could get any version of Odell Beckham Jr., of a shell of himself, it would still be a helpful piece to have on this Steelers offense that's desperately needing another wide receiver at this moment in time. So Omar Khan, I'm calling on you to go out there and get Odell Beckham Jr., whatever it takes. We would love him here in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure if you guys agree. Feel free to comment on the video and let me know what you think about bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. But those are the stakes for this weekend. There's a lot on the line. But thank you guys for watching this episode of Steelers Digest. My name is Remington Kuhn. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll have the latest rumors, news, analysis, updates on your Pittsburgh Steelers. And going into this weekend, I have one more thing to say to you guys. Here we go.